My energy levels are better. My kidney hasn't bothered me. Carb ratio in my pump was 1 to 6 or 1 to 8. I was taking about 60 to 70 units a day, maybe 80. But now I eat about 500 to 700 grams of carbs a day, and I take about 25 units of insulin total, Lantus and Humalog. Just last week, mid-August, 5.7 is my most recent A1C. I'm Jason Warwick. I'm 25 now, and I was diagnosed with type 1 when I was 12 years old. I've always been a really active kid from an active family, followed a relatively healthy Western diet style, a 30-year plate meat, 30-year plate veggies, and then some sort of carb. I kind of finished up my junior hockey career and went to college, started living on my own, and my diet got worse, more fast food, more fatty food. But at the same time, I was putting on muscle and I was really active and I looked healthy and I felt pretty healthy. But my A1C climbed to 9.2 at one point during my college hockey career. I saw the documentary What the Health and adopted a vegan style diet, and like instantly my blood sugar started dropping. I had to cut down on my insulin requirements, change my settings in my pump all the time, but I was still getting some pretty crazy fluctuations and stuff. I started feeling some tingling in my feet, and I was kind of in denial that it could be neuropathy, and hit me pretty hard. And I started really thinking about my blood sugar control over my life and how I had treated my body. It was time to make a change. And then Christmas time, I got kidney stones in my right kidney, and that was a struggle. But 2018, in January, I came across Mastering Diabetes. I'm so happy I did, because I started slowly adopting this plant-based lifestyle, which I was already doing, but I just started cutting down that fat intake and really, really started having to drop my insulin requirements. In November, when I started feeling the neuropathy, I obviously started going to the doctor and stuff. My A1C was 8.2, and then I really started focusing on it January, before I even started the Mastering Diabetes approach. I got it to 7.3, and then in March, after 2.5 months or so of starting to cut down the fat and follow this lifestyle, got it to 6.5, and then in June 6.2, and then just last week, mid-August, 5.7 is my most recent A1C, and I'm so happy about that. It's just unbelievable. It was crazy. Like when I started feeling the neuropathy, I started noticing, the veins in my feet weren't really bulging, and I wasn't getting great circulation. And kind of like in January and February, I started getting like this rush of blood to my feet and kind of almost an increased sensation of the neuropathy. But in a way, it felt like it was getting better, and it definitely has. And just my energy levels are better. My kidney hasn't bothered me. I struggled with that for about a month and a half, starting Christmas Eve, actually. And then, a month and a half of that, just on and off, really bad flank pain. And once I started eating properly, the pain started to subside. I may have passed it, but it hasn't bugged me at all lately. My feet barely bother me anymore. When I had the pump and I was following a standard Western diet, before I made any changes, I remember my carb ratio in my pump was 1 to 6 or 1 to 8. I was taking about 60 to 70 units a day, maybe 80, depending on how active I was. I've always been active. And I probably ate like around 400 grams carbs a day. So I've always eaten a lot. My friends used to call me the chip monster, and I don't think that's a label a type 1 diabetic should have. But now I eat about 500 to 700 grams of carbs a day, and I take about 25 units of insulin total, Lantus and Humalog. And I think that it's around 1 to 30 usually it averages out to. But for a meal, it's about 1 to 60 I take. So it's crazy. It's how much it's improved. For breakfast, I usually have either a really big fruit salad. Well, usually it's oatmeal with fruit and chia and flax and, a couple nuts, cocoa nibs, whatever. I mix it up every day. Or I'll go for more of a savory and have like some sweet potato and a bunch of sauteed veggies or something. For lunch, it's usually leftovers from the night before. Right now, I love making fries. Sweet potato fries or regular ones, or just a combination. So good, and just have them with salsa or whatever. And then always a big salad. I love farro. I never ate it before, but I love eating farro, quinoa, rice, amaranth, a lot of black beans, corn, chickpeas. I feel so good, and I know I'm only going to keep feeling better. And I just can't believe I had no idea about insulin resistance and this way of eating, and how well you can actually monitor and control your blood sugar. I rarely spike. My blood sugar never goes above 10 now, and I can eat 200 carbs in a meal. I'm not hungry. I'm not starving myself, and it's just awesome. I always snack on fruit. The fruit collection I have is crazy. I have a bar in my kitchen, and it's always just full of fruit. When I go to the grocery store, it's full of fruit. I love watermelon, bananas, pears, cherries are in season right now in BC. They're so good. I work in forestry, so some days I'm exercising all day because I'm in the woods hiking around for 6 to 8 hours. So that on those days it's crazy. I use maybe 2 units of insulin while I'm in the woods for 6 hours, and I'll have like 4 pieces of fruit and a big meal and a couple other snacks, and my blood sugar will just stay super flat just from walking.